Hi everyone, welcome to the final episode of our Spring Sensory Special for AT Fridays. I'm Megan, and when I heard spring, my first thought was gardening, of course. So I'm going to look at sensory gardening. My colleagues at Action OT have already presented some fabulous information for you about all of the sensory processes. Nikki's looked at vestibular processing, Sophie's focused on proprioceptive processing, Casey has looked at oral processing, Cameron's looked at the auditory processing, Jess has focused on tactile processing, Darcy's showed us some visual processing, Emily's brought us olfactory processing, and Nikki has also introduced us to interoceptive processing, the lesser known means of sensory processing. So once you start thinking about gardening and spending some time in the garden, you'll notice that many plant selections and sensory gardening ideas will often integrate multiple senses, so they're becoming all-in-one sensory experience. Of course, sensory gardens can be constructed on a large scale with costly landscaping involved. However, I'd like to give you some examples of ways that you can introduce to your garden for this, ways to garden for the senses with a range of low-cost ideas. Before we get started, there's a few important considerations I'd like to highlight. Take caution to choose suitable options if you or other people using your garden have allergies to particular plants or even to bees or insect stings. Consider anyone with asthma or hay fever in your plant selections. Another really important thing to do is always choose non-toxic plant options, as sensory gardens try to encourage touching and tasting plants too. I also choose options that will not require the use of pesticides and chemicals. And always follow the safety guidelines and government regulations if you're considering using water features as part of a sensory garden. Time spent in the natural environment and gardening can provide a range of benefits, including reduced stress and improved well-being, and it can also offer a range of sensory stimulating and calming experiences. So let's get to it. First, let's take a look at visual processing, or your sense of sight in the garden. To stimulate or calm the garden user, you can use vibrant colours for stimulation or subdued colours for relaxing a person. You can vary shapes and forms of plants and hardscapes in your garden. There's options such as toparied plants that provide a solid sort of form, whereas free-flowing grasses contrast nicely against that, especially when there's a breeze blowing. I love choosing plants that attract beneficial insects to my garden and have seen an increase in this since I've done so. They add visual interest to a garden along with being essential pollinators that we need. There's so many creative options for introducing colour into the garden, and if you have kids, they love getting involved. We've also created a little bee watering pond so that they've got a little drink source for them in the hot months, and that's just another way to add some visual interest into the garden. Varying options in hardscapes, such as colour and types of ground covers, such as pavers, rocks, mulches and other colours, and the colour of walls. You can introduce colour through other non-living elements. We've just painted some rocks to use on a natural noughts and crosses board. We've got bees and ladybugs, haven't we guys?
Yeah. I'm being ladybugs.
And we use colour through these fun stepping stones over here for the kids as well. Let's take a look at oral processing, including taste or your gustatory sense. The reason I noted it at the start to always choose non-toxic plant options was in case any garden user has eaten some of the garden produce and cannot discriminate between what is edible or not. Or if they seek out oral stimulation and any item can be mouthed, it is essential that no plants or products used in the garden are toxic or harmful in any way. Your needs may dictate the need to only plant edible options in your sensory garden, so it's important to know the requirements of your family and the users of your garden. There's lots of options you can consider when you're looking for plants that are edible and can be used to stimulate the sense of taste. Fast growers are things like leafy greens and lettuce. Here we've got some lettuce seedlings growing. Yum. And herbs, so we've got some basil at the back there. We grow some thyme. It's over here.
There's just a lizard down there.
As well as chives and flower at the moment. We've got oregano in a separate section. We've got some parsley growing and garlic. Here's my garlic. And we've got strawberries. And even though they're looking a little bit sad, they're still trying to produce some fruit. We're also growing some beans on these stakes here. And we've got some citrus plants which have not yet fruited. So there's lots of options out there you can choose from. I also grow some edible flowers, and I've used these to decorate cakes and salads before. Please ensure you've not fertilised or used chemicals on your edible crops. Options such as viola flowers, which we've got here, are edible, as well as rose petals, lavender, dianthus, squash flowers and nasturtium. These are some violas I've still got in flower. Unfortunately, my nasturtiums didn't grow fast enough from seed for this video, but you can check out the Gardening Australia website for links to stories they've done on edible flowers before. Did you want to have a try of one? Want to pick one?
There's a Mr. Spider there.
Let's get this one. Do you want to eat it?
Yeah.
What's it taste like?
Tastes.
Like a flower.
Yeah, and kind of like a different sort of lettuce leaf.
Okay, yep. So there's many options available for you to grow edible plants, and you can find options that incorporate taste along with other sensory systems such as touch and smell. Next we're going to look at auditory processing, or your sense of hearing. So you can introduce sounds through natural means by plant selections that attract birds and bees to your garden. I find it so relaxing and grounding to go outside and be in my garden, listening to the hum of the bees and the birds singing their song. Listening to the rush of wind through the trees or long grasses can also be a great means of stimulating auditory processing in the garden. Think of setting up a seat, a blanket or even a hammock nearby and relax while you process all the sounds that you hear, including that siren in the background. There are also options such as the use of wind chimes to bring in sound to the garden, or other objects that create gentle sounds such as a water fountain or feature that has a bubbling or flowing water sound. Again, use caution and follow guidelines when introducing any water features into your garden. Next, we're looking at olfactory processing, or our sense of smell. Like visual processing, olfactory processing is something that people will quickly associate with gardening, and we can harness some lovely scents in the garden. Today, I'm going to get my helpers here, Oscar and Ezra, to describe some of the scents of the plants in our garden. Okay, so Ezra, you've got peppermint there. Do you want to pick a leaf and scrunch it up in your fingers and then smell it? What does it smell like?
Peppermint in spaghetti bolognese.
Oh, okay, cool. And Oscar, here you've got apple mint. That's that big one in front of you. Do you want to pick some of that?
Smells strong.
Yeah, cool. And so we've got that other mint over there growing. Do you want to pick some of that?
Yes.
This one here is called chocolate mint. You can pick a big piece if you want.
Mama,
Or I can smell it all from here.
can I pick this one?
Yeah, that one's sage. Ezra, you can pick some of that.
Oh,
Quickly, Oscar, what does that smell like?
it smells like toothpaste.
A bit like toothpaste.
Really
It's mint.
strong toothpaste.
Yeah, it's meant to be chocolate mint, that one. Slightly different to other mint. And you've got sage there, Ezra. Crush that up in your fingers. And then what does it smell like? You give it a sniff. Oh, yum. It's nice, isn't it?
It smells strong too. It
Did you
smells like George and some of peppermint, sugar and strawberries.
Oh, Interesting combination.
Orange.
And cool. We've got some great descriptions here from the boys. Now behind you, Oscar, there's lemon balm in that pot. Do you want to pick some of this one? This one here. I love this one.
Mom, which one can I pick too? Oh, it smells sour.
Yeah, it's very lemony, isn't it? It's cool. I love lemon balm. That's a nice one for a sensory garden. And another lovely one here is rosemary. Rosemary's got a beautiful and strong smell. It's great in cooking as well. So we've got lemon balm, rosemary. You can use basil, mint. There's so many kinds of mint to choose from. It's hard to choose some when you go to the shop. There's tea tree, which is a bigger tree, thyme, lavender, and you can get a variety of scented geraniums, citrus blossoms as a citrus. Many roses are perfumed, and plants such as gardenias also have a strong scent.
Mama.
Yeah, oh, that one there's called lime mint if you'd like to smell it. I mentioned earlier to use caution when selecting plants to ensure they suit the garden users. So there's some plants such as jasmine, for example, that really aggravate my hay fever. So just use caution with that sort of thing. Next, we're going to look at tactile processing, or our sense of touch. I love using tactile plants and items in my garden. So here's some ways you can integrate the sense of touch into your garden experience. Bare feet. If you're able to walk in bare feet and it's safe to do so, try it out. I have a variety of hard surfaces in our yard. So we've got the grass, of course, but we've got pavers, concrete, and also river stones over in the garden for the kids to walk on. Here we have my all-time favourite tactile plant, lamb's ears. Guys, do you want to come and feel these? Have a feel of the lamb's ears.
Oh, it feels like a teddy bear fur.
Yeah, it's so soft, isn't it?
Can I pick one?
You can pick one if you'd like. Yep.
I'm picking this one. But you're not allowed to eat it.
No, don't eat these ones.
I'll help you pick it. That was hard.
It's lovely and soft, isn't it, Ezra?
Yeah.
These are really easy to grow, very hardy, and they just spread, so you can propagate them into different parts of your garden. Another lovely tactile plant is paper daisies.
Oh.
Have a feel of the paper daisies, guys.
Oh wow, it feels like plastic solid.
It's very hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes a cool noise when you move them. Plastic spikes. It's spiky. Yep.
Feels like plastic.
We're growing a few different, we're mixed punnet of these as well, but they haven't come into flower yet. Another nice one I've found is this Banksia behind you.
Oh, cool. Can I pick it?
Now let's not pick those ones, but let's feel them, because these new growth flowers
There's different
so soft.
These ones are hard, those ones are soft.
Yeah, so the young leaves are really soft and furry, and as they age they get a bit harder.
Mom,
I think it looks a bit prehistoric looking.
Mom, this one's soft.
Yeah.
That one's hard. Oh, this one got snapped.
That's okay. So another one we've been growing is what's up there in the lime tree pot, guys.
There's snapdragons.
Snappies.
Snappies.
This is such a nostalgic plant for me. I can't help but squeeze them. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, it's pinky orange.
Look. Yeah, but look, they open their mouths like dragons.
Oh, cool.
Rah.
So you can squeeze them. Oh. Yeah, and they've even got buds inside the thing to
So
make
that's
it
another tactile experience, isn't it, Ezra? You picked one. Cool. You can also incorporate plants that are spiky, smooth, bumpy, furry, velvety or soft. And sometimes when you're feeling the plants, this will also cause the scent in their leaves to be released. So as I said before, a double sensory experience. So in my garden, there's a patch of lawn that just never grows. And I tried to get it to regrow. However, some little person kept digging holes, didn't he? Yep. And show us what you've done, Ezra. Oh, you've buried yourself. How does it feel?
Good.
What does it feel like on your feet?
Good.
Sophie?
I can't feel my foot.
You can't feel them?
No.
Oh, they're buried deep in the earth, aren't they?
Well, I right. Ow.
Can you break them out? Show me. So I've decided to not worry about this patch of lawn for now. It's just another sensory experience in our garden.
I'm digging it back up
Okay.
so I can put back in there.
Next we're looking at the vestibular system. Some examples of how gardening activities can activate your vestibular system are bending down, standing up, bending down, planting a plant, pulling some weeds as I need to do, and then standing up and orientating yourself to your surroundings. Also watching a bird in your garden for a little while and then watching as it flies off into the distance will activate your vestibular system. Walking along stepping stones through the garden, along a balance beam, and more stepping stones we have here, are other examples of the kids using their vestibular system in the garden. I love these obstacle courses. Also having a game of hopscotch or even a swinging gently in a hammock would be a way to activate the vestibular system. That's on my wish list, a hammock. Now we're looking at the proprioceptive system, and as we've learnt from Sophie, someone who experiences sensory processing difficulties may seek out proprioceptive input to help be in a more regulated state. So some gardening activities that can provide proprioceptive feedback include engaging in heavy work tasks such as the boys are here, carrying heavy watering cans filled with water to water the plants.
Water now?
Yeah, water them. Go. Pushing wheelbarrows or carrying buckets filled with weeds or compost to the bin. It's a bit loud, but digging with shovels is another good proprioceptive activity. Using the weed puller to pull out weeds and raking leaves with the rake. Bending down and sitting on your knees to pull out weeds, of course. And what else is proprioceptive fun? Jumping on trampoline. Whoa! And finally, interoceptive processing. As we learnt from Nikki, interoceptive processing is identifying and understanding sensory signals inside our own body or what is happening inside our body, such as knowing we are hungry, thirsty, that our heart rate is racing, or needing to go to the toilet. I've read about introducing interoception through gardening, which has proven to be a very niche area to find details about. We can educate people about the signs and signals of their own bodies that alert us to our body being hungry, thirsty, that we're overheating, that our heart might be racing, or that we need to go to the toilet through first introducing and participating in the care needs of plants. Plants need water to grow and to reduce heat stress, and looking at signs that the plant might be thirsty might be a way to liken this to our bodies needing water to remain hydrated and for our body systems to work. In the harsh heat of last week, for example, I had to quickly rig up some netting that provides a degree of sun protection for my lettuce seedlings here. And that just kept that hot afternoon burning sun off them. We can introduce the idea that we need to feed plants with specific fertilisers to stimulate growth, likening this to us needing to eat and look at the body signals of hunger. My strawberries here, for example, are showing sign of needing some attention, and they might need some fertiliser to kick them off. And we can look at the fact that plants need specific growing conditions suited to their needs. Some need full sun and some need shadier spots, and that plants like humans can experience sunburn and heat stress. This can help us introduce the understanding if our body is too hot or when it's time to take a break, for example. So there you have it. As you can see, there's a wide variety of gardening ideas that can integrate the 8 sensory systems. You don't have to have a large-scale landscape sensory garden to harvest the benefits either. There's always options for small spaces, including the use of pots and raised planters, raised garden beds, using hanging baskets and other vertical garden systems. You could even use a small pot on a windowsill if you like. I hope this has sparked some interest in some of you to get out there and garden and enjoy the sensory experiences that come from it. Happy gardening and thanks for watching.